Peace, Julian Caldwell for Towards the Top here with 13-year NBA veteran sharpshooter Keyon Dooling. Retired, but now taking a shot at another goal, and that's raising awareness towards sexual abuse and specifically with children. So moving from his NBA career into a new career as an ambassador for a bigger cause. So thank you for being here.
Hey man, thanks for having me. Thanks for having me, and man, I commend you on the work you're doing. You know what I mean? You're never too young to make a difference. You know what I mean, young brother? So you stay encouraged on your journey and go for it.
Oh, thank you.
For sure.
So to start out, can you detail to me your personal, experience with sexual abuse and why this is such an important cause to you?
Yeah, well, I think the first thing is I'm a survivor of sexual abuse. I was taken advantage of when I was 7, 8 years old, and I didn't deal with it until I was 32 years old in the bottom floor of a mental institution. And so in between that time, there was a lot of different emotions that I just left unchecked. Anger, doubt, insecurities, all these different emotions, and not being able to pinpoint why I was feeling these ways. And so I went through life, just carrying some of those burdens and never embracing it. And it really burned me out, wore me out to the point where I had to go and get my mind right.
Yeah. And so talk about, because it was a really young age that it happened. Talk about the impact that it had in just the weeks afterwards, and then even going a year, 2, 3 years, 5, 10 years afterwards on your life.
So I decided very early to compress it. I made a very conscious decision, even though I was, 7, 8 years old. I made a decision that I wouldn't tell anybody at that moment. But I started riding with a knife that day. My anger, instantly intensified that day. I became a little bit more angry, a little bit more rough around the edges, so to speak. And so, I noticed some of the behavioral differences in me early in life. How I chose to mask the pain was, I started drinking early. I started smoking early. I was very promiscuous early. And so, looking back and reflecting on it, I was acting out and never really understanding why.
Okay. Yeah. So you started the Respect Foundation, with this mission in mind. Why did you need to take it the next level and write a book? The what's driving you? What was in writing that?
Yeah. So. It's real funny. If you look at some of the people who have been taken advantage of early in life, the Oprah Winfrey's, the Tyler Perry's, one thing they are is extremely creative. And something happened when I did my healing, when I got therapy and I started, seeking God more. I started unlocking all these, creative gifts that I didn't even know I had in me. And I was busy playing basketball too, so I didn't have a lot of time to explore these gifts. And so, I started reading a whole bunch. I knew I knew inside I had something I needed to get out, but I had writer's block, I had reader's block. So I was just trying to heal. And in the midst of my healing, I figured out this concept. I wanted to give people an opportunity to heal through artwork, through music, and through my story. So that's why I have pictures in the book from a great artist, Jamil Jerome. And I have a soundtrack that goes with my book as well. From the artist Blessed. And then I wrote a great story. I'm very transparent, I'm very honest and open in it. Now, I don't tell my entire story because I feel like some things are personal. Some things are just for me and my family, and and it's not for the world. But I put a lot of information out there that is personal that I'm willing to share because I think it'll help some people.
And you mentioned the soundtrack that you have by Blessed for the book. So how did that come about? Talk some about how you had a hip-hop soundtrack.
Yeah, I knew that I wanted to do a song about sexual abuse. I feel like, music, art, spoken word, all those things are so stimulating and so healing, and so, your creativity comes out. And so I knew I wanted to do something different with my particular project, and I wanted to, really make it cool for kids to be able to talk about this subject without it feeling like so, you know what I mean? I really wanted to, let them be, cool with trying to heal with what they're going through. And so me and Blessed got together. He rapped some lyrics to a song that called Respect. And it brought me to tears. He talked, first few lines, hear the thoughts of a child who's been abused. And it really touched me. It really touched me in a way that that I felt like other people need to be touched that way, especially if you're healing, if you're going through you know, being abused. And if you haven't come to grips with that yet, it could be turmoil, bro. It could be internal turmoil. And so many of our young brothers are out here mad at the world, drinking, smoking, you know what I mean, and trying to, feel their way out of all the pain.
Yeah. Are we ever going to hear a rap song by Keyon Dooling?
You will never hear a rap song by Keyon Dooling. You know, I know my lane. You know what I'm saying? I'm not, even though I'm a fan of music, I'm not a musician. But I also think that, you know, these young brothers are talented. They're talented individuals, and, you know, the platform that I have is an opportunity for them to get their gift out there as well.
If you could go back and talk to yourself as a 5-year-old, as maybe a 16-year-old, 21-year-old during that time where you haven't told anybody but you're living with it, what would you tell yourself at those moments?
Well, the first thing I would say is it wasn't my fault. You know, I think a lot of, you know, young people who go through what I went through, they blame themselves. And so, you know, so I would say, 1, it's not your fault. 2, it's okay to tell. We have this thing in the hood that, you know, that just baffles me, that no snitching, no telling. I say that that's wrong. If somebody violates, you know, your space, your trust, your innocence, I think you have to tell somebody. If it happens within your family, I still think you have to tell somebody, because too often it happens within families. It happens at safe havens. It happens at churches. It happens at places where it shouldn't happen. And so if we suffer in silence, you know, that cycle can continue. So I would say, you know, get it out there, talk about it, hold people accountable for their actions, no matter who they are. And then also, you know, one of the things that you know, didn't allow me to come out is I thought my parents, my dad in particular, would hurt the person who hurt me, who touched me. And so, you know, I would say that the parents have to have a healthy responsibility to not act so barbaric in their repercussions or in their defense of their child, even though your initial instinct is to plunder, kill. But what I would say is that, you know, do it the right way. You know, prosecute them to the fullest extent of the law, raise awareness about it. You know what I mean? Make sure that we do everything to hold people accountable for their actions. But in the midst of that, rehabilitate them, because a lot of the people who create, who do these acts are they're doing it because it happened to them. And so I want to be sensitive to them and what they went through, but hold them accountable for you know, continuing that cycle.